Alright, guys. So, to those Qataris out there and other, or whether it be other people who live in Doha as of now, or wherever they are in Qatar, probably knows about Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, who marked a prominent, mm, like, sorry, I stuttered. I wasn't unsure about what I was gonna say or anything. But as people right now, whether Muslim or those who supported his reign so much because he left such a huge impact to modern day Qatar, it basically changed the whole course of Qatari history altogether. And I myself, having lived in Qatar for 14 years and still adjusting to and adapting to my new place, um, like barely 5 years now. It's just 4 years since I've been in my new place here in my new place. Um, I witnessed a lot of change. So many construction and so many changed during Qatar's course in history. So let's start off with basic Qatari history because I used to study Arabic and I was fluent with it, so fluent in fact that my mom can't even understand me. And it's very special too that somewhat the expats like me particularly are able to somewhat learn and communicate in Arabic, which is what I'm mostly thankful of because despite losing all my knowledge in Arabic, I still know a number of words, but I with but if I'm eager enough, which I am, I'm gonna be learning Arabic again and restoring all the words that I used to get familiar with. So it's very special. I think I think other countries, none other except Qatar offer overseas schools that teach two languages, both my local language and the Qatari language, or the Arabic language. So it may have been possible that I will apply for Qatari citizenship. However, I did not choose so because I'm contented with my nationality. But all in all, I'm very privileged. I'm very thankful to God that He delivered me to this place where I feel most outmost safe. And most other countries suffer from crime rates, um, if not crime rates, wars, or if not wars, natural disasters. In my case, yeah, natural disasters are common here. Um, very thankful. Very I give all my gratitude. So let's start with his legacy, and I actually love history. Let's begin with the year 1995. So this desert peninsula of Qatar basically was ruled by his father, Sheikh Khalifa bin Hamad Al Thani. For some reason, bin bin Hamad, I don't understand that because probably his father's name is a namesake of his son, or maybe he named his son after his own father. So Sheikh Khalifa was on a trip, overseas trip. I'm not sure where, but let me Google right here. Um, Sheikh 1995. Where did he go when the coup take place in 1995? So he went to Switzerland apparently. I was sure of that because I remember reading that in history that he went to Geneva, Switzerland for an overseas trip, and then his son Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, who is our main story in this history, took power to claim the the emirate for himself, not for himself, I mean, because see some support was in as well. So with the help of that support, his son took the throne because basically while he was gone, he was regent, and in royalty, that's that happens when you're, let's say for example, you are a king and you are going outside or leaving somewhere for business trip or something more important than that, and you entrust your son or your relative to the throne while you were gone. They take the regency. Now regency is different from regnal. Regnal is when you are the actual owner or you are in power of the throne or the incumbent. So basic that's basic politics right there in monarchies when it comes. Now Qatar is a semi absolute monarchy, I would say, or maybe an monarchy. But I do know that Saudi Arabia is the absolute monarchy, though the prime ministry is mainly inside the family. So I would say semi-constitutional monarchy would be countries like Jordan, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so this coup was a bloodless one, and this took place without his father knowing. And afterwards, he basically modernized Qatar further down the line. So basically, basically, this is the most nostalgic part of my times in Qatar. I always see the iconic Sheraton Hotel. It's geometrically shaped, and Sheraton Hotel was built in, I think, Sheraton Hotel basically already exists maybe before his reign. So Sheraton was built in 1979, 1982. Officially opening its doors in 1982. So no, that was basically a year after Qatar's independence in 1971. I mean years actually. They survived over 10 years. So this was located in Doha Corniche. I remember that place when I used to play there a lot as a kid. So there we go. Now, based on my father's stories, Qatar during the times in 2004, uh, there were small buildings back then. The buildings were a lot short, not a lot of infrastructure. Basically, it was desert still. There were highways, yes, but they were still empty. So, anyways, that's what overdrived Qatar. Basically, Qatar long discovered oil in the 1940s, and Britain extracted this with the help of Iraq Petroleum Oil Company, or natural gas. They extract that. They sort of exploited it until they gave Qatar independence in 1971. But then Qatar discovered oil in, I forgot. I'm not into that type of history. I'm more into royal dynasties. Although I used to study that in grade 6, honestly. Qatar found oil in 1939, basically offshore Dukhan. Yeah, I remember that. I just lost that in memory. With the help of that oil money, he actually used that to further modernize Qatar such a way that they will be moving out of oil resources and more into natural gas, liquid gas, and the other businesses such as air travel. That's where by the way, in 1993, Qatar Airways was founded. Basically, I had a model, and I also have a flag. Basically, I kept that for keeping my heritage alive of where I was born in. And I was actually proud I was. I was proud that I lived there for 14 years somewhat. And if in the future, I might have plans going back sometime. Although my eyes are open for other countries, but I still I still have respect for Qatar because Qatar was like the safe haven. Qatar was like, because this were all the policies that Sheikh Hamad actually applied in in his times as emir, or sovereign prince in English. Um, he he basically gave out free healthcare, a special kind of education. That included me learning Arabic for some reason. Me, an expat, learning Arabic. I mean, let's face it that some expats who are older that time, older than me, before me as a toddler before, they learned Arabic for skills. But for me, I learned Arabic in such a young age, and I was very privileged of it. I was very proud of that heritage. I was heritage. I was very proud of that heritage, rather, and I kept that in me. And I will be looking forward to learn more about this place. And so much so, I love fortresses and everything. I used to think fortresses were royal castles. But anyways, aside from that, yes, he expanded air travel. He expanded, even probably Karwa Taxi was founded that time. When was Karwa founded? I know Karwa Taxi because I use that a lot for commuting into school. Karwa Taxi Foundation. And probably, oh wait, another emir actually found Qatar Charity, which is what I was about to say. So, Karwa Taxi Foundation was first known as Muwaslat, which I was a lot familiar with because I heard that a lot when I was riding on board taxis. And yeah, everything. He modernized, he improved Qatar, and then in 2013 he resigned in favor of his own son. So imagine your own father building up for what is yours. Now, that's how we should actually treat our future children, to think about their future and not just ourselves. It may be somewhat beneficial for both for your future generation. Some politics or a politician before, they strive for independence, and nowadays sometimes we take that for granted. But we must not forget who those who fought for freedom, because right now I would not be speaking here if there was no freedom of the press. Basically, there are some people who will keep you to put your mouth silent, and there are those people who enjoy free and easily get pleased with um, freedom of the speech. It is important for us to speak for ourselves and not for others. So that was one strong speech I made there. But it is true. Speak for yourself and not others, and still respect your parents. Anyways, that's what he did, and that was his legacy. And just a day ago, he passed away. Honestly, if I was asked, that was honestly unexpected, because, well, I'd never expect this, but judging, not to judge by his age, um, it was already expected, but it wasn't really that expected, because you don't know for sure when God will take you to bring you to his paradise, or better yet, judge you and put you to your rightful place. So, lesson learned: build a legacy for your son or your future children. And what a legacy. Learned, and he was also benevolent and generous. He aided the conflict in Darfur and the Palestinian conflict between Israel and Palestine. That's still a problem, and I still support Palestine. So, yeah, free Palestine and free Schlep. That Schlep thing is gone, honestly, but Roblox is doing worse updates now. So, um, the, that was his legacy. That was his um, memories. Uh, that was his record he kept. He he basically put Qatar on the world stage, and yeah, that was his legacy. So rest in peace to him, and God